88.
But how about grade school and stuff? Where'd you go?
Ware.
Oh, so you went everywhere.
A.R.
Everything
Ware,
you did in Stanton.
Shelburne.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we're live.
Episode 38 of Jabber Jawn. The number 38 has been very instrumental in history. The Ark had 38 pairs of animals. The 100-year war lasted 38 years. Donovan had his hit Sunshine Superman in 1938. A football field is 38 yards long. The freezing temperature of water is 38 degrees. A baker's dozen is 38 donuts and a black coffee. It takes a writer 38 weeks to write a bestseller. Mr. Moore is here. I've got to go. See you in 38 minutes.
Three little frogs sitting on a log. One of them fell in. One frog said to the other frog, well, you better go get him. Two little frogs sitting on a log. One of them fell in. Last little frog, he sat and thought, good thing they can swim. Jabber Jawn. Jabber Jawn. Jabber Jawn. Jabber Jawn. Three little frogs sitting on a log. One burst into a grin. One frog said to the other frog, wonder what's got into him. Two little frogs sitting on a log. One laughed until he is red. Last little frog, he sat and thought, must have been something I said. Jabber Jawn. Jabber Jawn. Jabber Jawn. Jabber Jawn.
Voila. We need confetti. We need... Welcome to the show. Hey, everybody. Hey, thank you. I'm Nathan Moore. This is Kyle Hogg, Steve Moore, Jabber Jawn, at your service. Welcome to the show. How y'all been? What's new?
I'm doing all right.
Doing all right?
Yeah.
You look good.
Well, thank you.
You went to the park today, I hear.
I went to the park twice today.
Twice today?
I walked this morning and made it all the way to the park, and I was very proud of that. And I studied the bird that we're doing tonight some more, and then I came back and rested. But this afternoon, Joe picked me up, and I went down with he and Elliot, my grandson.
Oh, cool.
And met Hunter and Phoebe Jo, my new granddaughter, and was at the park watching them play in the swings with a friend of theirs.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Had a wonderful time.
That's beautiful.
So then I walked back from the park to Kyle's house, and
He's
so I've done a lot of
he's
walking.
surprised me
Wow.
coming from the
Oh
opposite.
no, and I also walked down to
Oh, look at that.
Art Hive.
Art Hive.
And
But
they didn't even make me pay for this. They gave
really, they
us-
gave you that?
Yes,
Check
and I
this out.
told them I'd advertise for them. They're really nice people.
Great
And,
little place in Stanton.
That's
It's a
cool. That's
really-
a great logo they have there.
It's a really great concept, and I want to encourage them. And we're going to try to do some things together. Maybe we'll do a show there, or and they said they'd be welcome to put up a row of our merchandise.
Well, we're
as
gonna have to
soon as
get
we-
on that.
Yeah, it's in San Francisco. The problem, there's backed up. The shipping's backed up.
Oh, the merchandise.
Yeah, that's the only reason we haven't got anything on the shelf right now.
Gotcha.
But that'll take care of itself over the summer. But if you find anything laying around the house that you want to get rid of, I think we can put it in Jabber Jawn's name. Like classic stuff. Like I found yesterday the old pileated ivory-billed woodpecker hat that I wore to merinos for 25 years.
For 25
And
years.
I'm going to put that down at Jabber Jawn and sell it.
You can sell it.
Sell it for $10. I mean, that's a collectible.
We need little paragraphs on each
Well, you'd
one
have
with
to
the
explain
history
it.
and the story of it
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. Well, yeah, these things might not sell.
What kind of shape is it in?
It's about the same shape it was when I was wearing it for 25 years. It's dilapidated, I think, would be the
It's a
category.
dilapidated
It's an
woodpecker.
old, dilapidated woodpecker. But I used to get into some discussions about the ivory billed versus the pileated, which is the one that's around here. Have we done them? Did we do that?
I feel like we did.
Yeah, we did
think
the
we did.
woodpecker, yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be less of a merchandise shelf and more of a curiosity cabinet.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, until we get some merchandise.
Right.
I mean, the T-shirts will be a big seller, but we just haven't.
Until we
come
get
up
our
with-
book printing press in operation.
What are those? Those are Kyle's molar teeth. For only $25, I better get them.
That piece of glass was lodged in Nathan's foot for 8 years. It worked its way out on its own. That's $100.
Can't put $1. There's some things you just can't put a money price
Right.
tag on.
It'll just say
hard.
you can't afford it.
Yeah. You just want to have it, but you can't afford it.
Rob, good to see you. Ben, welcome to the show. Foffy, love you. Welcome, everybody.
So I've had a busy day.
You
Yeah,
have had a
he
bit, and you
was-
still got your spark. That's
know.
very, very awesome.
It's all revved up.
Yeah, the gummy hadn't even kicked in.
Let us know when it
Is that
does.
the new Jimmy Buffett song? Have
Yeah,
y'all seen that?
we're gonna have to find that track. Dying to hear that. How about you?
Everything's going good. I got invited to the football game last night, so that made me happy.
For tomorrow night,
Yeah,
you gonna go?
yeah.
Everybody,
High school football.
we're going to the football game tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Everybody, get
Stand
ready.
the storm.
So you could see the Stanton Storm and Jabber Jawn at one time. And get popcorn and a hot dog. I'm excited about a hot dog.
You know, that was the first thing I thought of. I was
Yeah.
like, well, that's what we're having for dinner tomorrow night.
I don't
Stadium hot dogs.
I don't actually want to go in the men's room, but I want to know if they still have that big. Remember they had that big floor trough all the way around in the men's room. It was just like a. They didn't.
Oh,
even,
I do remember that.
They didn't even have urinals. It was just like a big room with
Big
a
old
trough
trough,
around
yeah.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this is old school as you can get.
They don't have that anymore, do they? Or do
I
they?
don't know. You think they've updated it?
I feel like it's all different now than when I was growing up.
I don't
Because
know.
the locker rooms used to be right under the bleachers, right?
Yeah, but then they built those ones outside.
Right.
Oh, so maybe they fixed it.
It was so
up.
fun because the teams would come out from
Right.
under the bleachers. It was very dramatic. It was beautiful.
I went to 2 games last year, and the Storm have one of those tunnels now, like some kind of fabric tunnel they come running out of with the music playing. Really good.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Silas says we should stream live. We were just talking about
Wow.
that, about how we could actually cover a high school football game live. Not exactly sure how that would work, the live part.
I don't either.
We'd probably have to be on like a 5-second delay. 'Cause the 2 games I went to last year, I heard more teenagers cussing and making out than I've seen in a long time. Like, whoa, this is sort of bizarre. Like, you know.
Really? So, well, I'm getting really curious about tomorrow night.
Well, it's like teenagers loose, showing off and trying to get attention. So it's a lot of, loud cursing and fondling and all that type of stuff.
I think that's good.
Oh, yeah.
I even at one point asked Lex's son Grayson, I was like, dude, do kids fight anymore? I was like, I just didn't know
Really?
how different it is out there. And he
Yeah.
was like, oh yeah. And then for some reason that made me feel better.
Right.
Not that I'm not hoping that we don't evolve past that someday, but I don't know. There's some things you hope that the passions are just too fiery to contain on some level.
He said, oh, yes, and then he started whistling.
Silas says, I've been told each hot dog takes 30 minutes off your life. I still think they're worth it. You have not been told that. You just made that up. You're just pulling stuff out of thin air.
I've read that, too.
You read that too?
Yeah. I can't remember the exact amount of days, but, yeah, what did he say, 30 minutes?
30 minutes.
Yeah.
30 minutes? That's
Yeah.
nothing.
It is nothing. When I heard each cigarette took 5 minutes off your life, I was just like, well, yeah, at the end.
Wait,
Like,
but also, I've always figured it out. You get 8 hot dogs, and you get 6 buns, and the buns add 30 minutes to your life. So like you're really only losing like an hour for each pack of hot dogs.
good math.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing I always thought was interesting. Back in my touring days, especially back in the day, it was really hard to find good food, especially like after 9 o'clock. I mean, you'd just be on the road and you pull into a town and the only option would, some fast food, stuff like that. And it was always a crapshoot. You just never knew how your body was going to react or if it was going to be a good thing or a bad thing. It's like, oh, I guess we got Taco Bell. And then an hour later, you're like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that.
Right.
The only food that was, for me, guaranteed not to mess with me and work every time was a convenience store hot dog.
Wow.
There's just, it always sat right with me. It never was weird. So that was a real sort of consistent staple for me out there.
That's interesting.
We were just laughing at my nephew last weekend because he stopped on the way and got a couple of 7-Eleven hot dogs, but they weren't hot. They were like a flavored
They
hot
got
dog.
everything
He said.
now.
Yeah.
They started making everything in the shape of a hot
Taquitos.
dog, no matter what it was. Oh, that's a hamburger right there. That's a pizza. They're all in the shape of hot dogs because they had that one machine with the rollers that just rolls things.
Right.
So all of a sudden you got these hamburgers that are shaped like a hot dog.
Have you ever had Sam's hot dogs in Stanton, out by the golf course?
Not as much as I wish. Are they really good?
Oh man, they're good.
I bet they're Nathan's.
They come.
I bet they're secretly
They
Nathan's.
come. I get them with everything, chili and onions, and they come wrapped like both of them wrapped in one piece of like nice paper.
Wax
Oh,
papers.
man.
Where's the one you go to?
There's one where I work in Harrisonburg. There's one right down the street, but the one in Stanton's right out there by Ingleside.
That one's still going?
It's still out there?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, you can't tell. It's just a little drive-through window on
Right.
the side. But
There's hardly, there must not be any advertising at all, hardly. I thought that
man,
was going
that is
on. Yeah.
good.
So apparently, I'm just doing the math in my head. A hot dog takes as much off your life as 6 cigarettes. I don't know if I'm believing this.
So cigarette.
Heather Berry was asking, so a hot dog is worse than a cigarette?
Right. A hot dog is worse than a cigarette. You want a hot dog? No, I'll just have 6 cigarettes,
Let's have a couple of
please.
cigarettes. God, if you have a hot dog and a cigarette, you're just dancing on the edge, aren't you?
You're meeting your death halfway.
And then I'm going out to get a haircut at a hair cutter. You don't know how this night's going to end. Ah.
I mean, I figure at least the last 5 years of your life are hardly worth living in the first place. So it's like, I don't know, I was always generous to myself with that math.
Have you ever had a veggie hot dog?
I've
There's
had
some-
tofu hot dogs.
Yeah, there's some really bad. I was vegetarian for like maybe a year and a half. And
Me
those
too.
Veggie hot dogs they weren't really bad, but they just didn't,
I
they
hear
didn't
that
hit the
takes
spot.
2 years all the
Just
way.
2 years.
Not having-
now
not-
we're starting to deal
not
with
it-
numbers I'm not comfortable
Yeah,
with.
not eating any meat can kill you.
Right.
There's no doubt about that. I mean, everybody knows that.
That whole technology has come so far in the last 10 years. I bet they actually make a vegetarian hot dog now that's edible.
Yeah.
But boy, the early days of all that stuff was a nightmare. It was almost like a huge mistake. Like don't pretend to be something we love. Like it's a huge mistake that they made there.
But the thing is, every veggie dog you eat adds 30 minutes to a pig's life. So
Adds years, adds a life to a pig.
a friend of mine always had this idea that he was gonna get himself a pig, and just like keep it alive, but like just cut some bacon off of it every once in a while.
I'm going to picture it. I'm going to squirm.
He didn't do it.
That's a horrible idea.
What in the world were you saying? A live pig? You're gonna?
Like just
But-
cut some bacon
But
off
the,
of
but
it.
the thing, is- but this guy's been a vegetarian for like 30 years. I think he must have been kidding around. But he'll be alive a lot longer than us to tell these stories. So.
Right.
Oh Lord, have mercy.
Is there any vegetarian restaurants around here? New Jersey had some.
Not
oh man, some
exclusively, I
good
don't think.
ones. Oh,
Yeah, I can't think of any.
you think there would? Yeah,
But almost every restaurant has something, those
Yeah,
options on the menu. It's good.
I used to travel with two friends who are vegetarian. Like you said, he'd pull up late at night, you know, just fast food places, and they would just get like 2 large fries. And like, I'm healthy, I'm vegetarian. Like, dude, you're the most unhealthy person in this car. You just wolfed down 2 large French fries.
When were you a vegetarian?
God, it was like when I was, it was maybe like 2018 and 19, maybe, like when I first moved down here. You know, the main reason I hate touching meat. Oh my God, I just can't stand touching meat.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Jane actually gave me a pair of rubber gloves to wear when I was like deal with the meat.
Do you do that?
Like at work, the lady at work, the owner buys. She goes to the state or not to like a fair and gets a cow and then like butchers it and then sells the employees like the meat real cheap. And I always feel bad for not, like one year I didn't take it. Like, oh my God, you get such a good deal. So I got like all this meat. So I just like take it and like just hold it up in a pan and just shake it till it falls off the thing.
That means you're not seasoning it right or anything.
Well, I put some, yeah, it doesn't get seasoned until it's in the pan. Yeah.
Right. So it's already like at the bottom without any salt or pepper.
Yeah.
Squeamish, huh?
Gosh, I don't know why that is.
I thought I was bad.
That, like when I break an egg and get the yolk on my hands, I just over at the sink. Oh God!
You ever cracked an egg and found something weird
I
inside?
did. That was the worst.
Tell me all about it.
My whole family came up to Stanton one time, and like I was trying to be nice. I was like, man, I'll make breakfast for everybody. And I was still vegetarian, and I had vegetarian sausage and all this stuff. And I bought like 24 eggs or something. 'Cause there was like 11 people there. So I'm cracking all these eggs, and one cracks open, just red blood stuff comes out. And I was like, oh! And like one of my nieces.
Were there already some in the bowl, so it ruined everything?
And one of my niece's boyfriend's like, oh, let me see. Everybody else is like, gross, get rid of it. He's like, let me see. He's looking at it. And I was like, gagging, like, oh. That's a real surprise, though, when you get that. Ooh. I went to Food Lion one time, and I got a dozen eggs, and when the guy was putting it in the bag, it sort of fell over, and the eggs fell out. So I was going to the car, and I took the bag out and I put it. He hadn't put them all back in the container, so I threw the bag in the car. Didn't throw it, but put it in there. The eggs just started rolling out of the plastic bag and breaking on the pavement. So when I got home, I only had 7 eggs left. I was like, man, this didn't work out too good. There's my alarm to stop talking about eggs.
Yeah. It's like your
Move
blood
on to another
Your
subject.
blood pressure's going up. For your health, we need to stop talking about eggs.
But a good veggie burger can be really good.
They have come, the Beyond Burgers and stuff like that. You ever
yeah.
tried any of these?
See, I was just reading that those are terrible
Surprisingly
for
good.
you. I love those.
They have a weird smell, but a wonderful taste.
Yeah.
They're bad for you? Of course.
Well, 'cause that's-
when they finally get one that tastes good, it's
That's
terrible.
Cause that's what I
for
was
you.
buying, because those taste so realistic and they're juicy and they're good. And I was reading some of all the stuff they put in it, but whatever.
It's funny how fun and things that are bad for you are. It's like God sort of made a mistake there. That no matter what it is, if you're like if you're like, oh, it's so good, that's bad for you. I mean, I guess that's not always true because these tomatoes are pretty magical. These are from Dad's garden. These are just little explosions of summer in your mouth. It's a little
Yeah.
love bomb.
Love bombs is what I called it. A gustatorial orgasm. That was the first thing that popped out of my mouth.
That's just the.
What was the first word? Gustatorial?
Gustatorial.
Is that a word?
I'm not sure.
Gustatorial, he was the deputy of war for Italy, wasn't he, back during World War II or something?
I have no idea.
Commander
if that's a word or not.
Gustatorial?
I think it is, but I'm not sure. I'm running into that a lot.
No, does it have to do with gastro, gustro? What are you saying?
Yeah, I'm making up a word.
Okay.
I think you might be. I'm asking Percy in the
was,
Discord
I think
here.
it was gastro.
Yeah, gastro.
Okay.
What does gustatorial mean?
It means
You can tell a lot by the autocorrect. A lot of times you don't even have to hit send. If the autocorrect is, it just autocorrected as goose tutorial.
Which I will be doing later.
Exactly.
That's right. No, I was thinking,
Way to set up the bird.
Look at him selling his product way early in the
That was
evening.
my segue into the bird.
Well played, sir.
Yes, gustatorial.
Let's do it. Let's do the bird.
The bird is the mallard duck.
Oh, the mallard.
Yeah, and that is the one that if you go to the park in our little city, or probably in your city, the main bird is the white duck that's swimming around.
Oh,
And that is a subspecies. It's a genetic related to the mallard.
because the mallard, I think of a green head.
The mallards, the male has a green, that shiny, effervescent green head, and they have a brown body and white underneath. And the normal duck you see at the duck pond, that's the ring around him, is that beautiful bird.
Great ring.
And the female is the dull brown one. She's on the nest all the time. The male is a jerk. He's like a Burt Reynolds type. He's just,
Is Burt Reynolds a jerk?
well, I shouldn't have said that. I mean, I didn't mean Burt, the real person.
You just meant his mustache.
I meant the actor.
Alleged jerk, you should say. You shouldn't.
He played a lot of jerks.
Right.
But I don't know what he was like, 'cause I don't know him. But he was playing a macho man type
Right.
guy, and that's what I was saying about the male mallard.
Right.
Because he doesn't help with building the nest. He doesn't help with sitting on the nest. And in fact, he leaves and hangs out with the guys as soon as she starts getting ready to nest. So she's the one that's responsible. And if you think of one of the first things I realized about ducks is how many predators feed on baby ducks.
Baby duck. Oh,
When
wow.
you think about baby ducks, you've got bass.
Sitting ducks.
They're sitting ducks, literally, because
fish eat 'em?
yeah, snapping turtles love them. Big bass will eat a baby
Big
duck.
bass will eat a
Oh
duck.
yeah, bass. A trout will eat a duck.
What?
And then you have hawks coming down, the peregrine falcon and the kestrel, and all of them feeding. Then you have at night when they're on the nest, you have raccoons, skunks, foxes, and of course the worst one locally would be in the cat.
All right.
And all of those things, everything feeds on baby ducks.
Man, I guarantee you Kether's out there watching right now, contemplating a new fishing lure.
She's ready to go. Catch 'em.
Once you said trout, eat them.
Yeah, there you go. But so I was reading about the duck, and and some interesting things about them. Of course, they are raised for around farms, and people have these ducks a lot of times. I've never really owned a lot of ducks, but I've had ducks.
You've never owned a lot of ducks?
No, but
You've
I've
owned
had
a few ducks?
I've had ducks come by, and I've kept them for a while. But those are mainly Muscovies. The white ducks kept their own.
Now, do ducks have to have water to live in, or they can live on land only?
They want water, but they can live without. But their feeding habits, they feed on water plants a lot.
Okay.
So they're called dabbling ducks because
Dabbling ducks.
dabbling ducks is a category of ducks who can go like the little water things. Did you see?
Right, right.
They can duck. They can literally take their head and go straight to the bottom from a sit. And that's called dabbling.
Wow.
So they get plants off the bottom of the pond without even going, just diving their head down in there. And that's why that's what they mean by dabbling ducks.
So there's non-dabbling ducks
Yeah.
that you don't see in the water? Are there ducks that don't like water?
No, they like water, but they don't feed on the plants necessarily. They live on the water. And
What do they feed on?
Well, they might feed on fish. They might feed on things on the
Oh,
shore.
they can still go under. They just can't.
Yeah, they're just not feeding on the plants per se.
Gotcha.
They might be more carnivorous or whatever.
So I guess they need to live in shallow. Cause I've never seen a duck. The ones at the park, they always have their rear ends sticking up. I've never seen one go completely under. Can they go completely under?
Well, they don't like to. They can go under a little bit, but that's why they're called dabbling. They're not going completely under. They don't really want to.
Right.
It's more of a this than it is a swim down.
Right.
Do they flap their wings underwater to swim?
They don't really swim underwater.
How about non-dabbling ducks? Do they?
Yeah, some can swim underwater.
And they're basically
But that's their feet, isn't it?
winging it?
Isn't that their feet pushing them along?
That's what I was
The
wondering.
feet are the main thing, but I don't know much about those ducks. I'm talking about dabbling ducks tonight.
Okay. You have to study up on the
Don't
others.
don't switch my subject.
He told me something on the way over here that had me. I thought he was talking about something else. But what did you tell me about the ducks?
About I have a friend who's a duck plucker. Yeah, Heather's or
An ex-friend.
no. I'm not. I am promised myself I'm not going to make a mistake.
Yeah, no Freudian
And
slips.
I'm not going to do it on purpose either. So I'm walking on eggshells.
He did it like 20 times before he went live, though, just to get it out of his system. He couldn't stop saying it.
Duck a duck. There's some duck thing trying to take over Google, isn't there? Did you see? I saw an advertisement. They want me to sign up for that. Duck Go or something like that.
I've never heard of that.
You never, well, just don't go there. What about mallards?
Oh, wait, you were talking about your duck plucking
Oh,
friend.
yeah. Well, she explained to me two things. One is that there's a certain age if you raise ducks that you want to eat them. If they're too young or too old, the meat's not as good. And there's a certain, like 7 weeks is when you butcher ducks.
Isn't that weird? Only 7 weeks old.
That is weird.
And then the other thing is that she was talking about duck plucking, and ducks are a lot harder to pluck than a chicken. And it's because of these feathers, and especially their down feathers, are so tightly connected to their bodies that you can't hardly pull them out. So they usually just put them in water and jerk them out for a chicken. But they have
It's
to
hot water.
yeah, and then they dip, and then they have to keep on working at it, do it back and forth. But with ducks, you have to have an extra step where you take the duck after you do the water and ice water, then you put them in hot wax, melted wax, and you do that 3 or 4 times back and forth, and you get this coating of wax, and when you peel it off, the feathers peel off with it.
Oh, interesting.
So that's a lot more involved if you want.
That's why it's so expensive on the menu.
That's part of what we're talking about there. Ducks are a lot more harder to get to than a chicken.
You said something. You said down. What's
The
that?
down would be the feathers underneath the main body feathers that they use for insulation, and of course that's what we use for pillows.
So is the down like in a quilt or a down blanket or is that actual
Duck feathers.
duck feathers
Yeah.
from the belly?
Yeah. Yeah, the feather thing is real interesting. There was, they can cover their wings, are kind of the way they're built. They're crossover and impenetrable to water. And plus, if you watch ducks, they do a lot of, when they take their bill and put it up under their wing, and so they're getting oil sacs, and they're coating their bodies with oil.
Wait, where's the oil sac?
The oil sacs are underneath the wings, so that's why they're sticking their nose.
What?
And they're getting the oil on their nose, and then they're putting it on their body, and that
waterproof themselves.
waterproofs them.
Come on.
Yeah. So that's a cool thing they do.
At the beginning, you said there's a white mallard, or is that?
Well, the white ducks you see over at the park
Uh-huh.
are mallards.
They are mallard.
They're in the same family, but you know, they're just it's just like a Pekingese and a German Shepherd. We ended up genetically breeding some white ducks, and so we just rebred them, and so now we have a white species of tame duck. And of course, some of the wild ducks are jerks, and so we killed them too, and we ate them. So the only ducks we keep are the ones that behave better. That's called genetic engineering.
Right, right. I saw a little thing about that on PBS the other day about an experiment in Russia where they were taking dogs and taking the good-natured ones and separating them from the ones that were more aggressive. And after about 7 generations, they walked down the cages of the aggressive ones, and they were all like snarling at the gates, and it was just so weird. Like then they walked down the row of the ones they'd separated. After seven generations, their tails were wagging. They just were as affectionate as could be. It's fascinating.
Yeah, I saw a show about that. They were saying they showed the actual two genes that controlled why dogs like you, as opposed to treat you like every other animal.
That's amazing.
But it's right there in their genetic code.
So the mallard duck was anywhere that anyone goes to a park and sees mallard ducks, those aren't wild. Those have
they came from tame ducks. They might be feral,
right,
but they're not. They didn't come from wild. Well, they came from wild stock, but
originally, right?
Yeah. So it doesn't take long for that to spread.
Is it like a poodle is to a wolf? Like was the original mallard before they were domesticated a similar looking bird? Do you know?
Well, the original mallard is the one we've been talking about, the wild one, the green, the colors. It tends to be smaller because we wanted to probably raising them for meat. You want them bigger, I don't know. But, there's some subtle, I'm sure there's behavioral differences too. But
Now, ducks don't migrate, do they?
ducks are like colonies, and sometimes the colony will move north or south depending on the weather, but not not extensively.
Do the ones at Gypsy Hill
pretty
stay
much
there
all
year-round?
Most of the ducks there are year-round, and all the white ones. But you will see ducks coming in. Well, the wild ducks will come in and feed in there and meet their girlfriends and stuff. But then they'll go back out to other places too. So you see them flying over the city.
Where are they going when they're like crossing the road and stuff?
Well, in the springtime, they're nesting. I've had them nest all the way up in my yard.
Oh, wow.
They'll find a place and they're just searching for a nesting area, basically.
It's always so funny when you pulling around that curve on Gypsy Hill right near y'all's place. You see all the cars stopped, and you're like, what the hell's going on? You look around, there's a duck with a whole row of little babies. It's so funny.
Yeah. Well, they're taking them somewhere to get food, or just a new country to feed on. But in the spring, they're looking for a nesting area. But I did read that it's like 30% of the females that lay on a nest this year will survive just the nesting experience. That's a lot of turnover. Wow. They have about average 10 babies at a time. So,
oh, wow.
But it's just a hard life being a duck.
They make their nests on the ground.
Yeah, and they just use camouflage, and they're just laying low. And hoping you don't see them. But if you think about raccoons, how smart they are, and foxes, I mean, just by accident, they're going to be found by something. So
They're probably grateful to us for making that, because at our park in Gypsy Hill, it's a big old pond with an island in the middle, where a lot of them nest, I guess. Nest out there, but then they got a little moat around their castle to protect them from stuff.
yeah. Well, you don't see a whole lot. Those babies you see, a lot of those aren't born in that little enclosure. The mothers had them up in the neighborhood somewhere, hidden away, and then she brings them back.
Not good flyers, I guess.
Well, they can fly once they get going. They're not good at short flights. They are able to fly from the water. A lot of ducks have trouble doing that, but they can flop. Their first flap is in the water, so they push out with the water. A lot of ducks have trouble because when their wings hit the water, they get stuck. But these birds can come down and push through the water and go right on up. So they can fly. They can fly pretty well, and they're a big bird too.
They are a big bird.
But I walked down there this morning, that little creek that comes out, and I always go down and check out the fish in there. And there were 20 ducks down there today feeding, and I watched them, took notes and everything.
I don't know if you got your Gypsy Hill Park magazine, but they had, I think it was yesterday.
There's a Gypsy Hill Park magazine?
Well, it comes out twice a year to tell you the events going on and stuff. But yesterday they had reading to the ducks or something in the park. It's something that they do at the public library. But yesterday they brought all the kids down or whoever, and they sat down there and read with the ducks behind them.
Read to the ducks.
Yeah, I think it's like reading to when they bring a dog, you can read to the dog and stuff.
One of these
I
days,
respect that.
Yeah.
I wanted to joke it, but the more I thought about it, the more I was like, well, that's pretty awesome.
I hope one day they'll have the children are going to be reading to Mr. Moore.
Right.
He's laying over there and can't get anywhere, but go over and read to him.
So when hunters use a duck decoy, they're hunting other ducks?
Yeah, they're making a duck sound, and if a duck is flying over, he's looking for a place to land for the night or for food or something.
Are you talking about the sound or like the actual
You know,
duck?
you see these duck
Like
decoys.
beautiful artwork.
Yeah,
Oh, I thought you were talking
Yeah.
about the duck call.
Yeah.
no, I mean, I'm sure they use them in tandem, but
Yeah, they're trying to say this is a safe place because we're
so the
here.
ducks will be flying over and they'll see another duck down there and they'll be like, this must be the spot.
Exactly.
We had some of them growing up. They're so detailed, like you can move the heads and everything, so it looks, like turn their head to the side and stuff. That's cool.
You had duck decoys?
I don't know where my dad got them from. They were sitting on the fireplace all the time.
Some people collect them just because
Yeah.
they are works
Oh
of art.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, like
I've seen
folk art
those,
type
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Steve Conroy in the chat says, future bird info requests for Mr. Moore, the kookaburra. You ever heard of that?
I've heard of it, but I don't know a thing about it. I'd learn a lot if I did that.
Eventually,
Is that an Australian bird? I'm thinking. Ask him.
is that an Australian bird? Eventually you will inevitably run out, because at the moment we're focusing only on birds that you can see in Stanton and in the surrounding counties right around here. But eventually you'll go through.
Well,
all of
last week we did the Tern. And
Which was Virginia
that's
Beach,
They're
right?
not around here. So we've already stepped outside of our geographic boundaries.
Well, I didn't get to mention this, but I think there's 38 different types of ducks.
Remarkably so.
All kind of ducks. Well, we didn't show a picture of the duck. I don't.
Well, Lex has been doing it.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, he's all over it.
He's been showing
Did you
pictures.
just find the kookaburra?
I did.
That's a good-looking bird.
He's been showing pictures of ducks in some of his old wedding pictures for some reason. I can't figure out why.
Random.
So yeah, I've kind of been hit and run with the duck, but I feel like everybody knows. In other words, any questions or anything I need to cover?
Any more questions on the mallard?
Now, what is the purpose but for the is that called a beak? What is that called?
Yeah, I'd call it a beak or a bill. It's
A bill, yeah.
but it's going down and it's pulling those plants out. If you think about what they're feeding on, like that tern had the sharp beak to grab a fish, but the duck is trying to grab duckweed, literally called duckweed, a plant that lives on the bottom, and he's just grabbing it and pulling it up and then just swallowing it.
No, do they have any like grinding ability, or they
No.
just swallow it whole?
No, they're swallowing. So they want to grab it and pick a swallowable amount and then swallow it and then go down and get some more. And that's what those ones this morning were doing. They were just picking little stuff up and sticking their head down, busy as they could be.
Do the mamas feed the babies?
No, that's an interesting thing, because as soon as the babies are born, they can swim and they jump right in the water, right out of the egg. They're ready to go, and they start to feed naturally with any little things that's in the water. They just start picking it up.
That's amazing.
So the mother really doesn't give them, that I know of. I don't think she feeds them herself at all, which is pretty unusual.
It's probably not as amazing as it sounds, because they probably just float naturally, like God
Pretty much.
hooked them up on that.
Yeah, they're very light anyway, and they do have a downy when they're more downy than they are feathery, but they do float.
Now, is there a
The oil
cycle?
helps.
They can have babies and then have to wait a while, or they can just go with time after time.
The females,
Yeah.
they probably can have 1, 2, and maybe 3 a year. But a lot of times they just do one. I guess that's what I think is what happens, is they do one until it's successful. In other words, if the first round gets eaten by a fox,
Right.
then they'll do it again.
Wow.
But if the first group of 10, they're going to take the rest of the summer off a bit.
What color are the babies?
They're brown, a little yellow, brownish, more brown than anything else. But a little bit of yellow in there. If you look at the babies of the white, they're yellow. So
It's so wild how that happens. Like little yellow chicks. Completely
Yeah.
different markings than they'll have when they get older. Jeffrey Placco, welcome to the show. He says, I miss the peacocks that the park had.
Oh no.
yeah. Yeah, that was fun.
That was something. Well, very cool. Good bird.
Yep.
The mallard
The
duck.
mallard duck. Trying to think of, if next time you're there at the park, you can think
Are there
of
any
something.
other kinds of ducks
At the park?
common at the park?
Nope.
They're all mallards.
All are mallards except the swans and the geese. But all the ducks are the ducks. There used to be, a couple years ago, there was a wood duck for a while, which is the most beautiful bird. Can you get a wood duck picture? Yeah, the wood duck, the male wood duck doesn't even look real. It's painted by God, and
Right.
there was one there for almost a whole summer. Every time I'd go to the park, I'd try to find him.
You think he was just flying by?
I think he was just hanging out. Yeah, so
Oh my goodness. Look at that thing.
aren't they beautiful?
Wow.
But
That is remarkable.
Stephanie told me she used to live outside of Stanton, and they had ducks. And she said, just like you said, in the morning they'd all get up and fly to the park and spend the day. Then at night, well, not nighttime, but towards the end of the day, they'd fly by.
did you have a pond or the river?
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll come into town, and they're very social. They're a flock bird, and you can tell. Now, I guess I will report this as probably a negative thing, but I think you have to be ready for it in the world. I have seen one of the ugliest violent things I ever saw was those ducks at the park. And you might have seen it too, but in the springtime when the males, well, there'd be 2 or 3 or 4 males that'll get a female down, and she's screaming and they're yelling, and It's horrible.
It's got to be traumatic for kids to witness.
It really, it was for me.
Right.
And I was 38. I have not quite recovered from it yet. But, I'm seeing someone about it, you know. And
Did 38 come to your mind, or did you say it with the 38th episode? Was that
38 was the number that was in my head, and I don't think it's related to that anything.
I couldn't tell if that was an
I'm
intentional
thinking,
joke or not.
no, I was thinking Mae West.
It's another remarkable coincidence.
You're thinking Mae West? Wow.
Yeah, 38. I think she didn't she have 38s?
She has 38s.
Lex, can you look that up, please? Get some pictures.
Google.
Mae
Lex
West.
is on it.
Mae West.
Lex, did Mae West have 38?
Oh, don't show that to the show, though.
Just kidding. I think they were 45s.
Lex is suddenly gone to sleep. Not looking.
Maybe we should get Kethra to do the research.
That is a pretty duck. It looks like it was
He's trying to
piece-
bring us back.
Yeah.
That is
I'll
a
tell you
pretty
what,
duck.
that's one good-looking duck.
That's
right
a fine-looking duck you got there.
It looks like it was pieced together like out of broken clay or something.
Yeah, it really does. Looks like Egyptian.
All right, I think I'm going to leave the duck while I can.
Let's get the duck out of here.
Something else I saw. I'm not sure if it's the park that has this class, but you take broken pottery and supposedly in Japan they do this. If you break a pottery, you piece it back together and paint it with like gold.
There's a name for that.
Yeah.
What's it called? Oh man.
And they're having a class. on
Help
how to
me,
do
chat. This is a whole new art form.
that. Yeah.
And I guess it's so popular, people are just breaking things now so they can fix them.
So they can make ducks. Oh, it does have a name. I can't think of what it's called though.
Yeah, it's a whole YouTube rabbit hole you can go
Yeah.
down these days, where they take the pottery and what's the gold stuff? They add gold to the glue.
And they
or
just
something?
paint, yeah. So it's saving the old beauty and making it, how things that get old still are beautiful. It has some deeper meaning that I can't comprehend, but
One idea that
I can't comprehend because I'm just thinking about Mae West right now.
that's sort of in line with an idea that's been a saving grace for me in my creative efforts for a long time now. But there's a rich tradition in a lot of cultures for master craftsmen to put in a flaw in their work. There's like weaving and stuff. They purposely mess it up because they feel like I'm not going to do a good job paraphrasing it, but the idea is that perfection is for God,
Right.
and the idea that we could make anything perfect is sort of blasphemy. So they purposefully include a flaw, and there's a word for that too in certain cultures, but there's all kinds of different examples of it in different cultures, of the importance of the imperfection in a master work.
Can you give me an example of what you're talking about?
Not really,
I'm sorry.
but maybe the chat can help me. Oh no, the chat's just putting in body measurements. Catch up, folks.
And if anybody has any measurements for that old bastard, now I can't think of his name. Who's the guy you mentioned earlier? Smoking the Bandit? Burt Reynolds.
Burt Reynolds.
You got any Burt Reynolds measurements? Send those in too.
Oh God.
But I've heard of that. People that you make a beautiful, or even if you make it, it can be corrected. That's just part of the creation. So you leave the imperfection in there instead of going back and touching it up, making it perfect. You leave it, because that was part of the creative process.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to Google it real quick. You guys talk amongst yourselves because there's a word for this.
All right.
And we'll be back with Mike Wallace in 2 minutes.
What kind of numbers are we got over there?
And now,
How's May West coming?
and now at the end of the show, we have Andy Rooney. What was his name? Not Andy Rooney. What was it? Andy Rooney's going to take us out tonight.
Artists and craftsmen of such cultures would deliberately introduce flaws into their works to remind themselves that flaws are an integral part of being human.
Was there a word for it?
Oh, wait. Deliberate imperfection. Y'all gonna have to give me a minute here. Y'all can talk about something else. I'll catch up with you.
And I hope y'all realize that the show is going so perfect tonight that we've added this deliberate imperfection to.
And I voted against it. I say if you're perfect, God damn it. Oops.
If you're perfect,
I wasn't going to do that tonight.
if you're
God
perfect,
damn
use
it.
foul language on TV.
I said I would not do that anymore. I apologize.
This looks like a pretty fascinating article I'm going to have to read later,
Perfect.
but it's long.
I saw that bomb drop and I was like,
Well, my basic point is it's a whole thing. If you Google it, there's too many options for me to quickly find the right answers because it's
All right.
the art of imperfection.
Now, what is being a musician and touring and recording and everything? What do you think of like these, like Steely Dan or Fleetwood Mac taking like 3 years to do an album, so it's perfect? Do you agree with that? Or are you like more get in there and capture
I
the
like
feeling?
all the possibilities in terms of that. I've seen even Bob Dylan was famous for using the first or second take of a song. He would get a bunch of amazing musicians, teach them the basic structure of it, roll it, and he loved the excitement of that first take.
Right.
He just loved there's a certain fire that happened. Like, that's it. Maybe another one just in case. But now the Beatles, on the other hand, are famous for doing 100 takes.
Right.
They just do it over and over and over again until they could do it without thinking about it.
Right.
And it would suddenly, eventually, like even around take 50, you'd start to get tired of it. And it would start to lose some of that earlier luster, but keep going. Keep going. Eventually you transcend that and you hit another plane.
Wow.
So there's lots of different versions of that.
That's interesting. I like that.
I definitely think about, even with this project that I'm working on now, my Cover Me, I'm Going In, new project that I'm doing on my website, nathansland.com. In the all access section, there's a new player now that has 13 songs in it so far.
13. Well, we need to start talking about that. Let's go ahead and switch over to that. I played Sending the Clowns for Kyle before we came over. I mean, that's
Powerful.
a whole new level.
That
You took that to a different place.
I had to. You know why I had to? Because the last thing my wife said to me last night was, "I don't like puppets and I don't like that song." I was sitting there listening to Send in the Clowns on different versions of it on YouTube because you'd asked me to try to record that song, and she was like, "That song, I don't like that song," and
But she doesn't like your puppets either?
she never. Yeah, that's so. For years I've been trying to
Hide them from her.
make her love puppets, doing everything I can. Still haven't successfully done that, but I think she did enjoy my Send in the Clowns when she heard it when she got back from work today. So that was my mission statement. I was like, all right, I'm going to make her like this song for the first time. in her life.
That's
a
really
very
that's
strong
really a good
recording.
story because I just feel like you're doing something. First of all, the songs that I'm picking that you're working on are just special to me because of their lyrics, and you are doing something with you're honoring those lyrics in a way that only you can do. And I think anybody, if you do a John Prine song, John was here, he'd say, "Good on you," and that's what I heard. But that song, especially, Barbra Streisand's the one that made the big hit with it, and you would not think that you could. I was wondering if you could do it,
Right.
and I knew it had some lyrics in there, but I didn't hear them nearly as well when I hear Barbara do it as I do when you sing.
I think most people that hear my version will be like, "Oh, that's what that song's about."
Exactly. Really, it's totally different experience and very sad. But most everybody I know at my age, we've done that. We've been on both ends if you're lucky enough.
Right.
So it's a song that'll take you somewhere, but your way of doing it is what's a new thing. So I'm really excited about this new
It's
project.
been very inspiring. It's just I needed the fire under my skillet again.
Yeah,
and you put it there, and it's just been so extraordinary how perfectly timed this moment is with my guitar coming to life.
And the guitar, I
And
could
I'm not
hear
live streaming right now, so I don't have to worry about the copyright strikes I would get if I did this. There's like 5 different reasons why this is the perfect thing for me to be sinking my teeth into right now.
Well, right now, you need to explain to all of us how can we hear it? Because I was saying that I don't think you ought to be giving it away.
Right. Well, it's in the all access section of my website, nathansland.com. There's a little link in the menu that says all access, and if you're not a subscriber, it will prompt you there to say that it's behind a paywall. So it's a subscription thing. It's pay what you want, minimum of $5 a month, and there's all kinds of. That's one of the 5 reasons why this is a great thing for me to be doing, because I've been really sad because I haven't had new fresh content in that part of my website, and there's some people out there that have had an ongoing subscription for years now. So I get a little guilty when I see that someone's been charged whatever they're paying, and I haven't added anything new. But I was just a little stumped, and but this is a perfect project, because if I wanted to put these on Spotify or something like that, there's all this copyright rigmarole and things like that. So this has been just a great thing for that, to breathe new life into my website, to give subscribers something new to listen to. And I feel like I could just keep adding songs to that list, and there's just no reason not to. I don't think there's any copyright issues with that kind of thing.
So if you go, like let's say me and him went home and
now both of you guys, I will give you a free subscription, just so you're.
But so, is there like a bunch of different stuff we can click on, or do we click on what is it? Like we have
all access. When you hit all access, I think Lex is showing the show there now, and you go into other pages. They're just full of content that's just for you. There's a link with a bunch of my even unreleased records that aren't on Spotify. You can hear.
But like if we wanted to hear the ones he's recommended, what would we look on?
It's just right there.
Oh, okay.
As soon as you click all access, as soon as you get through the door, it's the first thing you see. Cover me, I'm going in. 13 songs up there now.
Yeah,
I have to, before you leave here tonight, I want to make sure that you're in there on your phone. So there's a bunch you haven't heard yet. I've done Hello in there. I've done Wild World.
I've heard that. I've heard
Hello
3.
in there.
Yeah.
Wild World was a tough one.
Yeah.
Oh, back to the earlier conversation. Spring Wind. I did like 83 takes of Spring Wind.
Wow.
And I was still up when Kethra woke up in the morning. And then I was serenading her while she was doing some work before going to work. And I was just sitting there singing, and I played Spring Wind, and I did a way better version sitting on the couch upstairs than in the 83 takes. So
Wow.
I'm gonna have to revisit it. Be careful falling too in love with any versions that are on the website, because I'm changing them in real time. There's been 3 different versions of Clay Pigeons up in that player since last night. So I like putting them in the player, because then I can go on the porch or something and hear them in context and hear them as a group together. So it's really a sort of living, breathing, changing thing. And so don't fall too in love with any versions, because then you might be sad next time you click on it, it doesn't sound the same.
Well, you're not going to change that much.
Not going to change that, but it might be a different key, might be a different approach to the guitar, Like that was the thing that changed when I was upstairs. I just played it completely differently. I was, instead of strumming the whole way, I was picking notes out during a couple of the verses. But thank you for this inspiration, because I was a little bit sort of stumbling around in the dark there for a while, looking for my next next project.
Well, the next one after you get this down and we're good is to do a performance.
Perform them live. It's really setting that idea that you have
I'm thinking renting Lime Kiln might go. If anybody's got any connections to Lime Kiln,
Well, you know, I had another idea.
go for it.
There's somebody here locally that's built a stage in their backyard, and they do house concerts. And I've never been to one, but Brian's played it. Molly just did it. But I see pictures and stuff on Facebook, and it looks really charming. And it's over near Food Lion. Their whole community's into it, and they do legit shows there. And I feel like that might be a good. I have to meet them and see if they'd even have me, but maybe it's worth. Maybe I'll investigate a little bit more in that, see if it's a possibility.
All right.
It's not as ambitious,
No.
but it's still special.
If I'm going to do it, I want to do it big time.
Now, if you were going to do this, would you do it solo, or you'd want a band with you?
I go back and forth. I can't wait to play these songs with Lex and with Rennie. And I know that much. But I just can't wait to Lex and I haven't really picked together since I got this guitar going. And I just can't wait just to sit and play these songs with you. Or any songs, or just play a G chord for 20 minutes, because that thing is just so fun to play. And I really feel like I need you holding it down on certain sections so I can stretch out a little bit. I just can't I can't wait to see where it stretches. It's funny how inspiring this thing is. I mean, you know, I probably shouldn't even say this out loud. That's a very expensive guitar. I'll just put it like that. To the point where I'm just like, why? Like, because I never played it, because it just wasn't set up right for me. So it hurt to play, and it wasn't inspiring, and I was just like, why is this? But now that I've been doing some work on it, and I'm like, oh, you do get what you pay for. There's a reason why musicians will spend thousands of dollars on an instrument. I mean, there's a reason they do it. It's not for bragging rights. It's because of how it sounds, how it plays. It's because of the music that comes out of it. And it's so fun. It's great for me to finally. I won this guitar at the Telluride Bluegrass Festival songwriting contest. Very proud of that. Thousands of submissions. 10 were chosen to come there and compete. And I was thinking about that today, because Kethra had something that happened at work today, and I flashed back on that Telluride Bluegrass Festival, and I remember you did like one song. There was 2 rounds, and you did 2 different songs, and I felt like I did really good the first round. And the second round, I sang a song, and then we were all coming up for the big announcement, and I said to the MC or something, I was like, God, I really regret the song choice I had for the second round. I wished I had done yada yada. And he looked at me and he was like, I don't think it would have mattered. And this was before they announced the winner. So I sat there, and at first I interpreted that one way, but slowly as they were getting up to announcing the winner, I was like, maybe he meant I won. Because at first my insecurities were like, any song you played, you wouldn't have won this thing, kid.
Perfect. Yeah, that's great.
Wow.
So there's just a lot of inspiring stuff going on there. I really appreciate your little nudge there, pushing me into
Now,
this.
how are you coming up with the songs? Are you going back and listening to your favorite songs, or you just be laying there in bed and one will come to your mind? Or?
I'm sitting there, in the porch, thinking about lyrics, and things will pop in my head, and I think about the song, and then I try to put him in it. And, but it's poetry. I'm looking at the words.
Right.
I'm not worried You know, like the big thing about Sending the Clowns was the music, because the music it's more of a, it's almost a
Yeah, nobody knows what the words are till
yeah,
they hear
it's
my
just,
version.
it's more of an instrumental. I mean, it's a beautiful sound, and you do capture that with the guitar to some extent, but not like the Barbra Streisand version where it just goes on forever, the intro. But yeah, you never really get where she is with it. It's more the song that she's singing. But with you take us like behind the scenes and the feeling what the songwriter was saying, not the music writer.
Dad was, one of the things I always think about was growing up, Dad would always, a line in a song would happen and he'd be like, oh my God, he would rewind it and make me hear that. It was always about a line. It was never like, listen to that guitar hook. Or
Well, I
something
don't
like,
hear.
But he would stop the world from spinning to rewind that and make everybody focus in on it,
yeah.
and just like,
You know,
and to my credit, I saw what you meant. I could tell why you loved it.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, the way songs evolved, and for instance, country music, you only need one hook. If you have a deck of 51, that's your hook.
That's all you need, right?
So you don't get a lot of the poetry, lyrics in country music. It's just not a genre that does that. Neither does rap, for that matter.
I mean, there's definitely the outlaw country that came along with Townes Van Zandt.
Oh, certainly.
There-
I mean, but that's a form of folk country. That's not the top 40 country,
Right.
Because they just want a hook and a quick beat and get you on and get you off.
Right.
But so you might get a good lyric, but you don't get good lyrics. Now these songs, these songs are poetry, and that's why I pick them more than anything else. Or they meant something special to me at a time in my life, just like every song is for everybody else. But when you hear that song, it just takes you to you start feeling it, which is what the poet or the writer of a song wants to happen. That's what keeps them alive. I want you to do one of them now. Do you know the words to? You couldn't do "Sending the Clowns" now.
Well, I got I print out all the words. I got a nice little music. I got them over here, but I was pointing to my little music stand setup, the little world I've created for this project.
Yeah, I hit my funny bone on.
Sorry about that. Yeah, there's new obstacles over there. It's a little different. You know, the couple of things I thought of before that is one is I feel like I mean, I always sort of feel this way. Like I really believe when I write a song, I feel like I'm healed. Like it's like a rebirth. There's just something really powerful about it. But I always feel that way with any creative endeavor to a certain extent. So this isn't that new, but it needs to happen from time to time or I'll die, I'm pretty sure. But this one feels like a rebirth in lots of different ways. Like, you know, Bob Dylan's first album had one original on it. The Beatles spent 3 years just playing covers. This is a process I've never really done as an artist. I remember when I was in high school, I tried to learn a Cat Stevens song, and everybody at the party just told me I was playing it wrong. So that's why I started writing songs right out of the gate. I couldn't handle that rejection. So I knew if I just wrote my own songs, nobody could at least tell me I'm not doing it right. And I was not, not that great
That's
of a.
interesting.
I didn't have an innate like musical talent. I didn't just pick up the guitar and just be like, "Whoa, I'm good at this." I just never experienced that. So a lot of my writing at the beginning was more a way of getting around that rejection than it was anything. But what I'm saying is that I never really went through that process that a lot of my heroes did. They immersed themselves in the music they loved and emulated it and learned how to play it, and then started writing their own songs. And I feel like the songs I'm gonna write at the other end of this. I'm excited about that. I
Yeah.
feel like I'm internalizing these songs I've loved all my life and really getting to know them, really owning them, making them my own. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I'm 15 again and I'm just starting my career.
Isn't that wonderful? That's a great feeling. Well, I feel really excited about it myself because it's something I've thought you should be doing for a long time. And we just had a different philosophy about it. And I understood your attitude.
I wasn't ready yet.
Yeah, and
I wouldn't, because you in earnest have encouraged. I remember when sitting on a porch, it was sort of a famous day, the day I wrote, "Oh Dad, please don't mow the garden." And also the day I became Percy Boyd, which is, now we have a dog named Percy, and this moniker is followed. But he was like, son, you should change your name and just go out there and sing other people's songs. So, because I think I sang him a Simon and Garfunkel song or something. He was just like, man, you should be doing that out in the world. And I wasn't ready to do it. I wasn't ready to hear it.
I felt like you took that as an insult.
Well, it was, because I was just about to write it in the basement.
Well,
and
yeah, exactly. And that would be my mistake. But even at that time when I said that, I understood why you rejected it. I mean, it wasn't like you're an idiot or anything. I just disagreed. But I felt like where you are now is you can do both. There's nothing stopping you from writing a song. But every once in a while, and I was coming at you from the audience, because I'm the guy that sits in the audience and listens. So I don't come as a musician or a poet or a writer. I came as somebody that comes to watch you perform. And to hear you do exactly what I'm feeling right now, I was feeling back then. When you did a Dylan cover, I said, you're putting more into it than he did. He had somewhere to go. He was in a hurry. But you're singing it. But but you're right. It was just a time that wasn't there for you. And
I wasn't ready yet.
yeah, that's okay.
I definitely, in doing these, think about that porch and what you were trying to say and feeling very differently about it at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But
No, when was that?
Boy.
well, the Yankees hadn't all gone home.
It was a long time ago.
Did you both have beards back then?
I remember that afternoon so vividly. We were all, Dad was smoking a turkey, which is a long process. It's a fun process because you have to keep the fire stoked, but it's going to be hours. So we all got to drinking. It was me, you, and Daniel. And sitting on the back porch. And I have so many vivid memories of that. I remember it started to sprinkle a little bit, and I was like, I just felt a raindrop. Anybody else feel that raindrop? Daniel's like, I felt that raindrop. And Dad's like, y'all both couldn't have felt the same raindrop. That's how vividly I remember that afternoon.
Oh my God.
I remember getting all drunk. I'm just like, why don't we do this every day, Dad? This is ridiculous. What are we doing with our lives? You're like, son, you can't do a thing like this every day. There's a lot about that day I remember.
Yeah, a lot of teaching moments I missed again.
Well, if I sang that song now, then we'd be doing the leaving song early.
No, I meant to do a song now to show the people that what we're talking about, and then we can talk some more, and then you can do a leaving song.
It might be a little later than you think it is.
Well, it might be. You've been talking so damn much.
I know. I feel like we left Kyle out of the last.
No,
Sorry for
it was
rambling
nice.
on about that. All inspired.
All right, you're on. What do you think?
I'll defer my 5 minutes to the gentleman from Selma.
Well, I'm just glad you were, because when you sent or somehow it came up when I was messed around and couldn't figure out how to listen to it. And then he told me this today, he couldn't figure it out either. So
It's not very intuitive either. I'm glad that it works when it does seem to work once you get in there. But it's I have a lot of online requests, people having to help people get into it, because it's like my brother-in-law said today, it's not intuitive. But
well, you know me, I won't quit till I get what I want. So I was at it for,
Right. Right, you'll call her back. Yeah, damn right you will.
Didn't work, goodbye. I'll see you.
I never really talked to her, but her machine said she didn't want to see me again.
yeah, but we have my barber in town is a very, very famous men's barber, especially, and she's so popular that she's not taking on new clients. But the last time I was there, I inquired on behalf of Dad and Kyle. I was like, they both are looking for a new barber. Is there any chance you could take them on? She's like, I love the show. I love Kyle's voice. I love your dad. I would be happy to cut their hair. So Kyle calls the number I give him, and he hears a voicemail that says, I'm not taking new clients. We talked about all this. And so he was like, oh, well, I guess I can't. I guess she doesn't have room for me. And then sulked his way down to some other random generic barber. Just found, I don't.
Barber is a word you can use for it. Mm-hmm. There's another B word.
You want to show? Do you want to show off your? You want to take the story from here?
I went and I got a very nice haircut, but it's totally not what I wanted. And the woman had more strength in her opinion than I did. So I walked out very unsatisfied.
How does that go? Like her strength of opinion.
Because I kept saying shorter. She goes, it's short enough. And I was like, no, I want it short. No, it's short enough. And she, she just had it fixed up. I was telling people at work, it looked like she was cutting her grandson's hair for like his third year of third grade or something. I had like this little boy's cut. And I was like, oh, so I got in the car. I was like, oh my God, what have I done?
So she cut it, but when you got home, you shaved it.
Yeah, I've got.
Oh, that's what happened.
Yeah,
I
so-
didn't catch the whole story
Yeah, so
earlier.
I got in the car and I looked in the mirror. I was like, God, she didn't listen to anything I said. And so
why did you shave it?
because I got home and I just got the electric razor and I put a blade on, which I thought was longer.
Were you in control?
So when I went, that first shave is like whoop, and unless I was going,
And then you got to make everything match
Yeah.
that first
I could
stroke.
either go on Flock of Seagulls or I had to go. So
Oh my gosh. Well, I think it's time.
Hey!
But that's
We
not
do
really,
have a drum roll over there for future reference,
Yeah.
by the way.
that's not really the haircut we're seeing. We're seeing you
I missed that part of the
reacting
story.
yeah,
emotionally.
I went. I said it's so bad. I'm just gonna start. My next haircut will be starting fresh.
Wow. You are a decisive character. You just took that razor and went right to your own head.
Yeah.
Well, in 3 years from now, when you're ready for your next haircut, I'm
She'll
telling
do
you,
it, I
she
swear.
said you're welcome and she wants to cut your
know, I
hair. She's
know,
a
but-
fan.
I don't know.
She might be retired by the time.
Yeah, I hope. I mean,
You called 3 years ago. I was full. I'm really full now. I don't have any space. You lost your window of opportunity. Keep those clippers on the back of the toilet. You're gonna need them again.
man, what a frustrating experience that must have been. Did you guys know that the spinning thing outside of barbershops that has the red stripe and
Sure.
it spins? Do you know what? Originally, that red stripe was for blood, because the barber was the blood letter.
It was leech guy.
Back when they would, to cure, if you got ill, they would they would cut you or leech you to suck out the bad blood. They thought letting out the blood would help you. And you would go to the barber for that, and that red stripe in that is an old remnant of back when that was one of the things they provided.
That is interesting. I didn't know that.
Did I ever tell y'all the story about cutting a guy's hair at work and they put that barber thing up on my desk?
No.
this guy at work one time just came over like around lunchtime, said, "Hey, can you cut my hair today?" I'm like, yeah, I guess so, thinking he would just go away and that'd be it. So around 5 o'clock, I was like, man, I got to get out of here before he remembers I said I'd cut his hair.
Why did he think you could cut his hair?
He'd never, I mean, I don't know why he
Everybody
picked
else
me.
said no?
I don't know why he picked me.
Or did he really think you had a skill set?
No, I don't know why he asked me. It was a black guy, so he had like short, sort of short hair. It wasn't like, I had to do a bunch of trimming and stuff. So we go into this empty office, and he gives me the shears or whatever, and I shave his head. He's had it all set, just, so I did it. And I said, all right, I'm leaving. And I guess he swept up or whatever. I don't know. So no big deal. About a week later, one of the higher-ups at the place I worked said, Kyle, can you come to my office? And I well, this is weird. I never talked to this lady before. I go over there and she goes, why are you cutting people's hair at work? And I was like, what? She goes, we've heard you cut someone's hair at work. And I said, yeah. She goes, well, why'd you do that? I said, you got to ask him. I don't know why. And he asked, well, why did he ask you? And I said, I really don't even know. She said, well, what would you have done if somebody had come in, like a agent or somebody had come in? I said, well, I guess I would have stopped, we would have talked, or something. She goes, well, who cleaned up everything? I said, look, call him in here. I don't know. I cut his hair and just left. And then she's like, look, Kyle, I really like you. We like you working here, but you can't be cutting people's hair at work. And I was like, look, you got to ask him. Then it ends up later, I found out they never even asked him about it. But one of my friends at work got one of those like things you're talking about, like a paper one, and put it on the side of where my office was, and like a barber's pole. And I was like, man, you got to get that shit down. I'm getting more trouble now. Having that hanging up here. But then I asked him about it, like, after I got in trouble, I saw him somewhere. I said, man, what did you tell him? He said, about what? I said, about the haircut. He goes, what are you talking about? I said, they didn't ask you about the haircut? He said, no. I was like, what? It was your idea.
I think somebody was pulling your something the whole time. All the way from top to bottom.
I just remember she said, Kyle, we like you. We like having you work here. We can't have you cutting people's hair. Like, darn it. I had a good side gig going on.
I was going to say side gig. Yep. A little line outside your office the next day. You look so good.
Bunch of chairs with old magazines. People just sitting there.
Highlight magazine. People. Time.
I got an old 50-cent soda machine there. You need a shave. Got the old straight razor.
Maybe you should cut Dad's.
Yeah, I'm getting in trouble.
No, I'm not the guy that has a razor right there by his bathroom. I can see you get, they're not the same size. Let's take it all off. Which might work. I've never had
that first swipe is so crucial. I still can't figure out how to do my own beard, but when I try to do it all down, if that first one isn't right, you gotta match it.
Yeah.
When I was living in Richmond, my hair was like a complete mess. I hadn't cut it in like years, and my girlfriend had like tied knots in it in the back so it'd get dreadlocks. It was just like it was a nasty mess. And I went to the barber, and they called my name. He looked at it, and he was poking around. He goes, there's nothing I can do with this. You just gotta. He said, you just gotta leave. It's impossible to cut.
Oh my
come
God!
on.
Yeah, so I went home.
What a wuss!
And my girlfriend.
You have terrible luck
My
with this.
girlfriend cut it.
Oh my goodness!
I've had a lot of bad hair. Some friends when I was living in Richmond, two girls from Stanton came up to visit. We went over to, like, their sister had a house or something. The sister was gone, so we were over at the house drinking and messing around, carrying on. And one of them decided they were going to give me like just real tight braids, like hip hop guys have. It was like the braids sticking all out, just tiny little thing. And I thought, man, this looks really good. And I was walking home. This was like 8 o'clock in the morning. We hadn't gone to bed, and I'm walking home. And two women come walking down the street, just bust out laughing. And I walk past, I'm like, I guess this isn't a good look. And I go home. I think I did the same thing, just like cut it off.
What's the longest your hair's ever been?
Like down to here. It was
wow.
real long, yeah.
What's the longest your hair's ever been?
Well, when I had long hair, it would curl up, so it never really got down below my shoulders or anything. But I had a a thick hair, so it was all bushy, but not long. But and there was a curl to it when I was younger. I've lost my curl.
Joe has that curl a little bit.
Joe's got a little of it.
Yeah.
Elliot's got a little of it.
What's the most interesting facial hair move you ever experimented with? Do you ever have fun with that?
Well, I've done the mustaches, but I don't like my mustache look at all. I've had the goatee, and I have the thin, where you got the real thin one here and a little thin here, when you're younger, like a French artist or something, a redneck French artist. It really works well.
When I was doing bold print, a friend of mine, he worked at a photography place, and he told me and my girlfriend he just wanted to take some pictures of us for practice. And then for my birthday, he had actually taken pictures and made business cards for me. And that's when I had real long hair, and I would, whenever I'd send out a copy of the issue of the copy, I'd send it out. And I got so many letters back. I didn't know you were a woman, because I had like really long hair. Like, I didn't know you were a woman. I'm like, you'll soon learn the truth, Yeah.
You ever tried any weird facial hair moves?
It would take, I don't have the patience to do it. It would take too long.
I like that little, there's a name for it. The
Flavor saver.
I don't think that's the name I was thinking of.
It's what?
Flavor saver.
I was thinking like jazz artists or whatever.
The Dizzy Gillespie.
Yeah, it's called, there's another name for it. Well, I'm showing how little my brain retains today. There's a name for that. It's called, I used to know it, but I don't retain anything. But yeah, it's right here, right? What's that called? Soul patch.
Yeah. Have you ever had like the long, like mutton chops with no facial hair, just the long sideburns?
I like that actually. That's a good
I
look.
don't think
I like removing just the mustache too, the Amish, the Abe Lincoln or whatever. I like that look. Or the goatee. I'll definitely rock the goatee for a while. Just shave the sides.
Yeah.
That's a little fun thing we get to do. Does yours? When's the last time you were clean shaven?
A long time ago.
Now, does a beard like that, does it reach a point and stop growing, or do y'all have to trim it all the time? Like if you didn't cut it, would it just go down and down, or is it?
Definitely slows down, doesn't it?
Mine has slowed down. What I have is a situation where most everybody stopped, but there are individuals that are doing what the hell they want to do.
They just keep
So all
going.
of a sudden you got this 8-inch hair sticking out. Like, where did you come from? And they just sneak up on you.
How do you groom?
But the others don't do that.
How do you how back when it grew more? How did you groom it? What did you?
There's scissors.
Scissors.
Yeah.
Never a zzz.
No.
Never had one of those.
No. Well, I had them, but I mean, I
Scissors.
could do that, but no, I would just snip those
You
wild
could
guys.
shape it. Was pretty good.
I'm not very good at stuff like that.
Right.
I'm not saying.
Right.
Well,
I'm not saying I did it well.
You don't even have much gray in your beard. Like mine looks more like Nathan's. It was a lot. I mean, it's gray all over.
That's very genetic. My dad, 90-some years old, and had a lot of black hair. I saw that and said, I hope I can get some of that. But
I couldn't believe when my beard went gray. It just happened out of the blue.
it's a sign of maturity.
If I could grow, I would love like a Whitman kind
Oh
of
my gosh.
just long old poet beard or something. But mine doesn't do that. It would get all big when I was younger, but now it just doesn't seem to.
Yeah, mine doesn't grow much at all,
It doesn't grow much at all.
except for those isolated individuals.
But boy, I've really struggled with the grooming thing. I've even watched YouTubes and stuff, and it's just, especially if you want to, like, you put those clips on, like you tried with your head or whatever, and you're like, and then you do it, and it looks so bad. So now I've just parted with the clips and just trying to do it manually, but I'd like to shape it. I'm watching movies and stuff, and I'm like, oh, look at that beard. I want that. And I go into the bathroom and pull out the thing and come out looking like this.
Now, the barber lady, will she do the beard?
She will do the beard, yeah. She's
I'll-
great.
Well, one
She does
thing
exactly what you want. She reads your mind.
I was going to suggest that you not try to get Kyle to help you.
Right.
You'll end up clean shaven.
Right.
One of the best things about getting older as a man, when you're just sitting there talking to somebody, you do like something like this, and you realize you got a hair like that long growing on your ear, and you're like, "What the hell? How did I not notice that?" For like, you try to like tuck it back in, like, ooh.
Nose hairs.
I was like, "Oh my God, what's going on here?"
Oh my goodness, it's 8:30. It got away from me even though I was watching it.
There's this new song.
So send in the clowns. Is that what you want?
If you can do it, that would be.
I just learned this today, so.
Did you ever write a song called "The Day My Beard Turned Gray"?
No, but I might.
Man,
The day my beard turned gray. Saw a ghost.
man, look at this.
It's all official.
He's written it all in cursive too. He's an official poet. Can I stop for 1 second?
Yeah, of course.
Do you know who wrote this?
That is a good question.
I think I'm going to say Stephen Sondheim,
He wrote the lyrics too.
who's the writer of the
Right, okay.
song.
He's written a lot, huh?
Yeah, he's brilliant.
And he recently passed away, I believe.
Right.
Thank you, Stephen.
I think I should take my hat off for this.
Isn't it rich? Aren't we a pair? Me here at last on the ground, you in midair, sending the clouds. Isn't it bliss? Don't you approve? One who keeps tearing around, one who can't move. Where are the clouds? Send in the clouds. Just when I stopped opening doors, finally knowing the one I wanted was yours, making my entrance again with my usual flair, sure of my lines, no one is there. Don't you love farce? My fault, I fear. I thought that you'd want what I want. Sorry, my dear. Where are the clouds? There ought to be clouds. Quick, send in the clouds. What a surprise. Who could foresee I'd come to feel about you how you felt about me? Why only now when I see that you've drifted away? What a surprise. What a cliche. Isn't it rich? Isn't it queer? Losing my timing this late in my career. Where are the clowns? Quick, send in the clowns. Don't bother, they're here. Thank you so much, everybody. Love you. See you next time.
Wow.
Do good, everybody. Pluck a duck.
He did it. All right. Catherine needs to see you upstairs, Kyle.
I said pluck a duck.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh. I'm calling your boss.
God, we like you here. We want you to keep doing the show. Why are you saying pluck a duck?
You just can't do that.
Yeah.
We just can't do that here.
Oh, that's beautiful but terrible at the same time.